Hey guys, what is up?
Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit.
Sorry about that, y'all. My mic fell. My bad, my bad. So anyways, without further ado, guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're gonna be doing a story time today. Be sure to like, subscribe to my video. I would appreciate it. And please go check out my first storytime video I did on this channel. It is my love spell storytime that I did on my ex, and he went crazy. So, it's good to have humor and things, guys. So go check it out. But yeah, so today's story time, we're going to be talking about a. It's not going to be a love spell one. It is not going to be about an ex. It's going to be about a paranormal encounter that I had with a friend that passed away. So I'll give you a little backstory on the situation so that it'll make sense. But this story happened last year. This basically, my friend was haunting me. Okay, I was being haunted last year. I'm going to tell you the story, but I want to give you a little bit of backstory, and out of respect for my friend, we're going to call my friend Frank for this video for respect. And I don't want to say his real name, but we're going to call my friend Frank. So me and Frank were schoolmates. We went to school together, and we were like friends. We were actually really good friends. Um, we had gone to this continuation school, okay? Because when I was in school, I hated going to school. I would ditch school, and I ended up going to this continuation school. And Frank was already there, and me and Frank were in the same class, in the same grade, and we became like really cool friends. And I was only there for like a few months though, but we started talking like immediately when I first got there. Like we became like really good friends. He used to skateboard, and back then that's when like a lot of kids were like skateboarders in schools. This is before the Edgars, when skateboarders were popular. So um, me and Frank, like I said, we were really cool. We were like brothers. Okay, we were like really cool. 222 on recorder, and me and Frank actually, we, like I said, we had each other's back. Like we were in school, we were really like cool with each other, and we added each other on Facebook. We talked outside of school on Facebook. We never hung out. We were gonna plan to meet up when I left the school because I was only there for like a few months, but we never did. It just never happened. But we were friends on Facebook, and we ended up talking. And long story short, I was there for about 4 or 5 months. And before I left, Frank, we became a lot closer. Not like that, At the time, I honestly didn't even know my sexuality. I thought I was a straight boy. Like I liked girls at the time, and I assumed that he liked girls. Even though there was a little comment that was made over the phone because we used to talk on the phone sometimes, and I remember one time he was a little bit tipsy and he had said something, but I was like, oh, bro, didn't really take it serious. But yeah, we used to talk on the phone sometimes, just talk, and we would talk about school and life, and we would do Facebook Messenger, so we would talk over Facebook because, like I said, we would talk to each other on Facebook. And his mom used to be in the background talking in Spanish to him, and there'd be Spanish music in the background, and we would talk to each other in Spanish too, because I'm also, I'm Latino. We both were Hispanic, and we spoke Spanish. Um, anyways, long story short, you know, we were friends. We were cool, and then right before I left the school, we became a lot closer, and he used to call me his hermano. Mi hermano. So mi hermano is like my brother in Spanish, and I remember how he would like take my stuff, like he would hold my backpack for me. He would I'm just remembering all these things. So guys, if I'm looking away and I still look, I'm spacing out. I'm just remembering all these things because when I tell stories, I don't plan the story times. I don't think, oh, I'm gonna say this. Like I just go with it. So I start remembering all of these things. Um, so if I look away and I look like I'm thinking, it's because I'm remembering. So yeah, so he would hold my backpack for me. We would share things. We were like brothers. It was very like it wasn't weird. It was a beautiful thing. Because that probably was like a soulmate towards me, for me like a brother, and we were really close, and he was really cool. And I left the school because I actually wanted to graduate sooner, and that alternative school had actually messed up my credits. In California, we have like, I think we have to have like about 240 credits to graduate high school. They had me like I was a grade behind, when in reality I was a grade above. So I left that school, and we still remain in contact. We still talked. Not as much though. We didn't talk as much, but we used to talk, and then we stopped talking eventually. But when we talk, we would talk on Facebook. And he told me, I miss you. How are you doing? Let's meet up. We were going to plan to meet up, and we never did. So I guess that was kind of sad, but life happens. It just didn't happen. And we were, like I said, brothers. He called me mi hermano. What are you doing? Blah 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 blah. And then he would tell me about what's going on in school, like how are you doing, and we would keep each other updated. So long story short, life happens, guys. Time went on, we stopped talking to each other, as we didn't talk to each other as much, and it got to a point where we stopped talking to each other completely. But we were still friends with each other on Facebook. And life happens. We didn't get into no fight. Just things happen, right? We end up just moving on, drifting apart. Anyways, when I had checked one time, I just looked at his profile, and he had he joined the army, and he had met a girl, and he was living in Louisiana, and he was going to marry this girl. So he got engaged. I'm like, whoa, Frank, wow, I'm proud of you. And I had sent him a message, and he's like, thank you so much. I would told him thank you, like wish you the best, like thank you so much, man. I forgot how the conversation went, but we talked for a little bit, and then that was it. And then it wasn't until I want to say 2022, so about 3 years ago, that I had not used Facebook anymore at that point. I was on Instagram, and I was on TikTok, so that's when I started going on TikTok. And I think, was I on YouTube at that time? When did I start my YouTube video? I don't know when my first YouTube video was. It was either that year or the year after. But anyway, I had reinstalled Facebook, and I had, gotten on Facebook, and I was scrolling through my friends list, and I had seen Frank. So I went on his profile, and I sent him a message, and I sent him a message, and he never responded. I didn't really think much of it. I thought, oh, he's busy, or, he's in the army, so maybe he doesn't have access to the internet as much, right? Maybe he can't be on internet, whatever. So I didn't think much of it until a few months later. I had gotten on Facebook again, because I didn't really use Facebook anymore, right? I didn't really use it, so I didn't really think of anything. And then when I went to my messages, I had seen that he never opened it, and it was almost like his profile was the same picture and nothing changed. So I was like, oh, okay. So I went on his profile, and there was nothing. So I'm like, that's strange. I'm like, okay. And a week later, something told me to go on his Facebook, right? So I went on his profile, and I had seen that his family member tagged him in a post and said, this is a GoFundMe funeral GoFundMe page for Frank. And I was like, what? So one of his family members had made a post on his profile and tagged him and said, we're starting a GoFundMe for funeral expenses for Frank. Please, if you guys can donate, please donate. And I was like so shocked, right? I was like, what? And I remember I got chills, because I was like, what? Like, I was just in shock. But I did think it was weird that he had not have been on Facebook, but maybe at the time he wasn't using Facebook anymore, or I don't know what happened. But apparently he had, when I had looked him up on, and there's an article about him, he came back to LA for the holidays because he was again stationed in, and I don't know if he was with his fiance or if he was by himself. I don't know, but all I read in the article was that he was near his house in LA and somebody had shot him and he was taken to the hospital and he passed away. That's all that I remember, and that's all that was in the article. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I ended up donating some money to the family, I ended up messaging one of his cousins, and I had messaged his mom as well. And, I said in Spanish, I would say, I'm sorry for your loss. I was a friend of his. And I donated about $50. And I was like, oh my gosh. So this, it was a very, very sad thing. So fast forward to 2024, 2 years later, 2024, last year for me was a very, very hard year. I had lost my house in the beginning of the year in January, and I was due to a house fire. So I was going through a lot at the time, and I was still I was still hustling. I was still, y'all was going live on TikTok. I was very active. I was still, trying to overcome my situation and try to be positive. And I was still laughing, but I was going through a lot. It was a lot going on in my life. So at that time, I was staying with a family member, while I was, trying to situate my living situation on where I was going to go next. Okay. So long story short, I started getting these very strange phone calls. Okay. And the area code of these phone calls were the area code that he lived at. Okay, very similar numbers, because I did say that we did have conversations on Facebook Messenger, but we also did talk, I believe, one or two times off the phone, like on the phone number. No, I mean not off the phone, but off social media. But it was only like two times when I had left the school. And at the time, I also started thinking about him. He had crossed my mind out of nowhere. This was, I think, around February, March. And I remember it was such a trippy time because I was started getting these phone calls, and I started thinking about him. And I was like, why is he on my mind? Like, it's 2 years later, I mean, I didn't understand why he was coming to me so strong. I was thinking about this guy every single day. Bro, like, where I was like, okay, am I tripping? Like, what's going on? And I was getting these calls every day from the similar area code that he used to live at. And the first few times, it would be silent. I'd be like, hello, hello, hello. And then it would be on. And then sometimes it would no one would be on the line until I would hang up, or they would hang up on me. But anytime I would try to call them back, every time I tried to call them back, it was like the number wouldn't go through. Like, there would be no dial tone. It's almost like it didn't exist. And they kept doing this for months. So I believe in March, I started to try to get readings from readers, try to find out, mediums, people that could give me some answers. I'm like, okay, I feel like he's trying to get in contact with me, right? He's trying to give me a message. And I did actually have a dream about him last year as well. I just had one dream about him, but he was just looking at me and he didn't say anything. So I'm like, okay, the confirmation that you're trying to get my attention. What do I do? Because I was like, maybe he needs my help. Maybe he wants to tell me something. Any way I could help, I'll help. Because always been that type of friend. Even if, you dead and you try to haunt me, I got you. Because I'm like, you obviously need something. You obviously, spiritually, you need some guidance, and I'm here to help you as a friend. So I was going to readers on TikTok and getting tarot readings, getting mediumship readings, but it didn't really resonate. And I was like, I don't know. Like, none of what they said really made sense. And I didn't really get clarity. And I was kind of afraid to tap into myself and open up that energy because I am not a medium. See how the light is changing? That's crazy. He's probably here. Um, but a reader did tell me I have mediumship abilities, but I'm like, I don't know. I never tapped into that, but I was kind of low key a bit scared because I didn't know what could come through. You know, you don't know what type of energy spirits can really come through. So I didn't at the time do it until around, I want to say around May. And at the time, I was continuously getting phone calls, especially when I would go live. When I was going live doing readings, I was always getting these phone calls, especially at that time. And I remember seeing certain comments in um, when I was doing readings, and I would see girls commenting questions, and they would always ask about guys named Frank. Is Frank this? Is Frank Frank? I was like, I'm seeing this person's name everywhere. I'm having had a weird dream about them. This weird number is contacting me, and I kept thinking, why am I thinking about this guy so much? He's trying to give me a message. So the phone calls kept getting weirder. There was even at one point my friend actually, I asked one of my friends who's also a reader. I told her, hey, can you like call this number for me? Because she's like, hey, let me call this number. And she called, and the same thing. It didn't go to voicemail. It's like it didn't exist. And we both were kind of like freaking out because I was like, bro, this keeps happening every day. And it kept getting weirder and weirder until the point where I was hearing Spanish novelas in the background. And when we used to talk, his mother would play Spanish novelas in the background. And I swear to God, that was not the freakiest part. It would never say, no one would ever say anything. It was like no one would come through, right? I would say, hello, 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 and I hung up. Fast forward a few more days later, I get another call again. And this time, now this really tripped me out because I was like, there's no way, or maybe I'm tripping, I'm hallucinating or some shit. I don't know, maybe I'm going crazy. But about 3 days later, I get another phone call, and this is when I think this was like late at night. So this wasn't when I was doing anything. I was laying down, and I had gotten a phone call. And when I answered the phone call, literally, hold on, y'all. I apologize, y'all. Sorry if the lighting looks different. I actually had a package come and I had to sign it. So, but yeah, so when I got that phone call, I was hearing, like I said, Spanish music and music that sounded very familiar, but no one would ever say anything. And the freakiest call was when they had called me again late at night, and I had answered it, right? Tell me why I had heard his mother's voice in the background. Bro, and I was tripping. I said, hello, hello, hello. It was silent, and it was silent for like 2 minutes, and then they hung up. Called that back the number. The same thing happened. And I was like, so, bro, when I tell you, I had called my friend, and I was like, what the heck? Like, girl, this is what happened. And we were, like I said, we were freaking out because my friend was even like, why? Because it was like happening every day for like few months. And it got to a point where it was like, bro, like, what the hell? So I don't know if I did say this before, but I was getting, like I said, I was trying to get information from readers, and none of the readers could really tell me like the reasons why he was appearing. And I had done a reading, why, like, what happened? And I had done a reading on myself, like, what does he want me to know? And basically, he was kind of telling me to be careful about certain people in my life that were not genuine friends. And later, that did come to pass. But I felt like there was more things he wanted to tell me because I'm like, why now? Why 2 years later? Why? Like, I kind of felt like there was something more that he wanted to like tell me. But and when I did the reading, I did cards. Like I said, I am not a medium. I do not specialize in mediumship abilities. mediumship. Somebody did tell me I did have it, but like I said, I never really, you know, practiced that gift. But I was like, why do I keep hearing why do I keep feeling, not hearing, but why do I keep feeling this energy? And after I got that reading, I basically wanted to know like how he was, and he apparently was doing good from what I read the cards, but that he just wanted to warn me about certain things. But I don't know, I always felt like there was more to the story, but he just didn't want to tell me. But I did ask him was he at peace, and the cards did say yes. And things that he did tell me that I knew it was real because it did come to pass. There was things that he did tell me about with certain people, and a certain person that did come to pass. And he even told me about, it was a weird, when I was reading the cards and I was, getting messages, and I was like, okay, so this is what you're trying to tell me about. He even mentioned something about someone coming back that we used to go to school with, a girl, and we all went to school with together, and this girl ended up coming back and reaching out to me when I was doing the cards. And I was just like, okay. So he was basically giving me some information. I guess he was trying to look out for me, giving me some time, maybe also because, at that time I was going through a lot. So he was trying to maybe be a friend and be there. But I almost felt like there was more that he wanted to tell me, but he never did tell me. And I could never figure it out. Like I said, I would go to different readers. At one point, I was getting readings like to find out like what's going on. Why is he like? I felt it so strong, and I never had that feeling before about anyone that's passed away. I've never had anyone try to contact me like that. So I was kind of like, okay, there's something more. And I'm thinking, is he stuck? Is he stuck somewhere? Does he need help? Like, why now? So when I got that information, I did tell him thank you so much, and I told him, hey, I hope that you're at peace wherever you are, and if you ever need any help, you ever need anything, please let me know. Bro, when I tell you the phone calls after that, like they stopped. I got no more phone calls. I didn't get any more. Um, like no, that feeling went away. Like I didn't feel like that person was pulling on my energy. I didn't feel like I was constantly trying to get messages from, like, it was like, you know what I mean? As an intuitive reader and as a person that's in tune, you guys know what that's like when you feel like someone's pulling on your energy. And that's exactly what I experienced. So yeah, after that, it went away. Like I said, I didn't get no more phone calls. They've never called me ever since. Um, and I felt like he came to me because to warn me about something and also to give me some comfort. But at the time, I didn't really understand why until certain things happened, came to basically predictions came to pass after. But I kind of also still believe to this day, and I still feel like maybe there was something he wanted me to help him with, or maybe by me connecting to him helped him in some way. I hope that makes sense. I don't know, Frank. Hopefully that makes sense. Maybe me talking to him, um, like he's like here, right? Like having a conversation. But spirits are always around us, guys. But I don't know. Maybe it helped him. I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to make myself feel better. Maybe I'm trying to make myself make light of the situation. But I hope, Frank, that you are okay. I hope that you're at peace. This story time, that's it. That's my story time. It is not a crazy, crazy story. It is kind of creepy. Tell me what you guys think down below. You know what also this reminds me of too, before I end this? That scene from the Twilight Zone when that boy kept getting phone calls from people that passed away and his parents didn't believe him, the little boy. And then they ended up hearing the grandma talk. It reminded me of that movie. Like when I was in that situation, I was like, bro, like I feel like I'm in a Twilight Zone. When that show movie came out, and I was just like, but yeah, guys, that is my story. Rest in peace, Frank. Rest in peace. Did I say his name? Oh my gosh, if I did, I am so sorry. I don't know if I said his name. Did I say his name? I'm trying to think, retract. I don't know. rest in peace, Frank. Do the best. Please, please, please. You know, I hope this video even maybe helps get his message out, and also, you know, tell you guys that, you know, bonds don't break. Even if you separate from someone in this lifetime, or if they pass away, but if you guys, you know, were friends, or you guys have a strong connection,